Hey everybody, I'm here with Abdul Mari, president of Embrace the Truth. He is a public theologian, a very well-known figure, and also someone that I want to introduce Singapore to. So, Abdul, thank you for your time doing the interview.
It's great to be here.
Ever been to Singapore?
I've been 3 times.
Okay,
Yeah.
impressions.
Well, first of all, I tell this to everybody. Singapore is one of my favorite places to go in the world.
Yeah.
I've been to a lot of different cities in Asia.
Yeah.
And Singapore is one of my favorite, if not my favorite. I'll tell you
I'm very happy to hear that.
Yeah, so and this is so food is my love language. You know,
Oh, good.
Which you can probably tell.
Yeah, mine as well, as you
yeah,
can probably tell.
yeah. I got off the plane. My wife and I came. We got off the plane, and a friend greeted us at the airport and said, "You must be hungry." It's 11:30 at night.
Yeah.
He says, "You must be hungry. Let's go to the food court."
Yeah.
I'm like, food court. When I think of a food court in America, I think of a mall
Okay,
and like a cheap, rundown kind of. Okay.
Yeah.
We went to the food court. It was lively. It was buzzing. There
Yeah.
must have been, I don't know how many restaurants.
11:30 at night.
11:30 at night,
Bonkers.
and all these people, and the food was so good. I had stingray for the first time.
Yes.
And that's a big part of my impression of Singapore is the food and the hospitality.
Yeah.
I often put it this way when we talk about Singapore. Singapore is a very warm place. It's very hot.
Yes.
But the warmth of the weather is exceeded by the warmth of the people.
Abdul, you're very sweet and very kind. I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah.
I'm going to introduce something about Singapore to you that may be a bit of a surprise, and I hope to get your quick take on that.
Yeah.
So in Singapore, of course, it's a secular nation because we have multiple religions.
Yes.
We're actually one of the most religiously diverse countries in the world. Yeah, and the way we practice secularism there is something called accommodative secularism. We don't shut out religious voices from the public square.
Thank goodness.
In fact, they are consulted on matters of public policy. And although no one religion has an overriding voice in determining public policy, there is most certainly communication between policymakers and religious leaders. Now, just a quick take from you. Is this healthy for a society, or is this something that will possibly lead to tension in the future because of differing opinions and the potential for power play between religious groups?
Yeah. Well, I'll say the potential is always there,
Yeah.
no matter how accommodative you can be, because people are people, and there are going to be people who rise in these situations who are going to use the accommodation for an opportunity for power struggle.
Yeah.
But there also would be people who would use an unaccommodational method as a way to say, see how they're oppressing us, and then that leads to a tension as well. So there's never a way to completely eliminate tension. It's just never going to happen. What I like about the way Singapore does this, from what you just told me, is everyone's consulted. Not everyone has to be agreed with, but everyone is consulted. And I think this is something that we can all benefit from if we take this, I think, core principle in mind, is that religious systems are not saying the same thing. They're not. But we recognize that, and we give people what I call the dignity of difference. If I look at a worldview and I say, whether it's Islam or Hinduism or Buddhism or Christianity, they say we all basically believe the same thing. I'm not respecting them. I'm disrespecting them because they wouldn't be different religions if they didn't say different things.
Great point.
But we have to give them the dignity of difference, which means I take you seriously enough to recognize you come from a different perspective, maybe a different culture, and a different worldview about what it means to be human and where we're going. So as long as we can hear what they have to say and find common ground upon which to move forward, that's great. But there is also uncommon ground. And this is good too because it allows us to explore the diversities and disagree agreeably.
Yeah.
And I think that is the key to avoiding the tension, is the ability not to mask disagreement.
Yes.
Masking disagreement stokes tension because it's underneath and the fire starts to burn.
Yeah.
If you mask the disagreement.
Yeah.
But if you let it out in the open, but you do it agreeably, well then that dissipates tension.
Yes.
So I think this can be a really good thing if it's done well.
Okay, I didn't plan on asking this, but since we're in this territory, we have something called interreligious circles in Singapore. And what basically happens there is representatives from different religious groups come together to commune with one another, have meals, attend social functions. And I think it's a really wonderful time to have touch points with other religious leaders. But I must also say that we're not really known for substantive disagreement. We tend to gloss over our differences in the interest of harmony and unity.
Yeah.
Now, what you're telling me is that over time, this may not be the wisest of strategies because these differences long for articulation and long for airtime, which basically is a desire for being dignified. Is that
Yeah.
what you're getting at?
That is what I'm getting at. I love the way you put it. They long for articulation. I think that's right. It's like, let me go for a tradition of that's not my own anymore.
Yeah.
When you look at Islam, Muslims like talking about Islam.
Yeah.
They like talking about why they believe the Quran is the word of God,
Yeah.
why they believe Muhammad is a prophet, and
Yeah.
all these things. Now that is different and sometimes opposed in some ways to other religious systems' beliefs about what is divine revelation.
Yeah.
And so when they articulate what they believe, and you listen even when there's differences,
Yeah.
and don't just say, well, there's no such thing as differences. You're giving them the respect of saying, I want to hear you.
Yes.
I want to hear you. I might disagree.
Yeah.
I might find myself agreeing surprisingly on some things, but
Yeah.
I might disagree on some things. And then they can articulate,
Yeah.
and then they will naturally, in a system that fosters communication, will want to listen to you too.
Yes.
So you can have this disagreement, which isn't a debate.
Yeah.
It's not even an argument. It's not a quarrel.
Yeah.
It's just a presentation of different worldviews. And
Yes.
we're enriched by seeing why someone came to the beliefs that they came.
Yeah.
Because people, whether it's their system of religion or it's their individual choices of faith, people have a story. And they believe what they believe for reasons.
Yes.
And oftentimes it's because of the dogma they believe, but usually it's because of the history they have personally.
Yes, right.
And what better way to dignify a person than to say, what do you believe about what a human being is?
Yes.
Where we're going ultimately?
Yeah.
Is there a God, and what does he want from us? What better way to dignify a person than to hear their story, even
Yes.
if it's different than yours? So glossing over differences can be a nice way to find common ground, but at some point, I think you respect a person when you give them the longed-for articulation.
Okay, I'm going to press this point just a little bit, and this will be the last portion of our talk together, okay? What you're saying will ruffle some feathers because we're very small. Our hinterland doesn't have much space for us to accommodate tension. And so we're allergic to the articulation of differences sometimes. It can seem that way. It can seem that interreligious dialogue is very shallow and doesn't get into the substance of matters. We're focused on harmony rather than mutual understanding, it can be said. Now, if we were to move in the direction where it would cause a little bit of discomfort, what are some key principles that we should adopt in Singapore when we have more substantive interreligious dialogue?
So there are two principles I think that are important for us to keep in mind. The first thing is understand the difference between peacekeeping and peacemaking.
Okay.
Peacekeeping just says, okay, there's a lot of tension, we're going to ignore it happened, and we're just going to not say anything to each other. And that's artificial. And at some point, it eventually breaks. Peacemaking is saying there are big differences between us, but what we're going to do is try to create a culture, and Singapore has done this to a degree as well, but where you can talk about things and live in harmony.
Yeah.
But harmony that glosses over the differences and the tapestries of different people's faith and the diversity can be superficial. But harmony that says, you disagree on some things, we agree on some things. Let's talk about our agreement first, and then our disagreements as well. I think that can be a great way to peacemake, not just peacekeep. And that's where you get true harmony, I think, when you can peacemake. And that's a difference. The second thing is to listen.
Yeah.
From my own faith tradition, when the Apostle Paul says, let your speech always be gracious, seasoned with salt, so you may know how you ought to answer each person. This is critical here because Paul doesn't say answer each question, answer each controversy, answer each religion. He's not interested in that.
Yeah.
What the Apostle Paul says is, let your speech be gracious so you can answer each person. So if you come to the table with differences and you hear what someone has to say and why they believe what they believe and how they came to that conclusion, and then you respect, not necessarily agree with the belief, but you can respect the person, then you've listened to them, and you know how you ought to answer each person. And sometimes the best way to answer a person is to say nothing. It's just to say thank you. Other times it's to say, tell me more. I want to hear more. And I think people will understand the richness of someone's own experience, whether they agree with it or not. They'll understand the richness of it. So peacemaking and over peacekeeping and listening. Listening is a big part of it.
Would you say that the quest for truth takes a back seat if we are not direct in our approach to mutual understanding and the seeking of the truth?
Yeah, I do think that to a degree that's true. So it depends on what you mean by direct, because I know plenty of people who can be direct and are quite abrasive.
Yes, right.
And they create that tension. And
Yes.
sometimes they create that tension and they want to create that tension.
Right.
And such is life. But being direct doesn't mean being abrasive, doesn't mean being angry.
So can we start that sentence
Sure.
again?
Yeah. No worries. That's okay. It's all right. Being direct doesn't have to mean being abrasive. It can mean first asking questions to understand what someone believes and why they believe it. Otherwise, you'll never really know, will you? And how can you ever really know a person until you've engaged in the conversation, whether publicly or privately,
Yeah.
over what they believe, and sometimes they disagree with you? How can you ever learn?
Yeah.
So yes, I think truth suffers. Not only does it take a back seat, but sometimes we suffer because we're not engaging in the truth discussion
Yeah.
out of a zeal to be nice.
Yes. Yes.
And a zeal for harmony. I understand that, and I get that, and I think we can strive for both. That's the key. How do you strive for both without sacrificing either harmony or truth?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes we sacrifice truth for the sake of harmony.
Yep.
But sometimes there's plenty of people who sacrifice harmony for the sake of truth, and neither one of those two things is good. We can do both. We really can do both.
So, truth without harmony can be abrasive and lead to tension. Harmony without truth can also lead to tension.
Yeah.
So in the same way,
you
so
just
in
don't
that
see
way,
it. You just don't see it.
Yeah.
The harmony is superficial. The tension is fundamental. But when you talk about things in a cordial way,
yeah,
now the harmony is actually fundamental, and the tension might be superficial,
Yeah.
but it can be dissipated by the fundamental harmony.
yeah. Now that's going to take effort because in our quick reflex generation, I think that the temper and the quality of temperance is something that we all ought to develop more and more as we engage each other more.
Well, and I think one last thing I'll say is this, is that I think you can speak on the differences without criticizing someone else's view.
Yeah.
So, for example, when I talk about why I'm a Christian, I think about my former faith and what the chief virtue of that former faith was, which is God's greatness.
Yes.
How do I understand God to be truly great and worship Him in that way?
Yes.
And I can have that in common with many people of different faiths, including Muslims, for example. I'm a Christian, but Muslims and I can share that common platform. But now I can explain why I, as a Christian, feel that greatness is found in Jesus and what He did. Notice what I'm not doing. I'm not criticizing anybody.
Yeah.
I'm playing on a common platform that we share, but then I'm saying the distinctive of Christianity is that God's greatness is found here.
Right.
They may agree or disagree, but I haven't poked fun at their faith.
No, of course
I
not.
haven't said you're wrong. I've just said here's why I think I'm right.
Yeah. Sure.
Now let me hear what you have to say.
Yes.
So you can do this, and you can do it, and you can do it agreeably.
Yes. Abdul, I really appreciate the nuance, the wisdom, and the incisiveness of your commentary.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for
My
your
pleasure.
time today.
Hope to see you in Singapore one day.